everybody. This is Kelly Gladden with the Kelly Gladden Show, and I'm here with Chris Martinez with a Z. You can check him out on Facebook, and he's one of my sponsors, and I'm so honored to have such an outstanding man sponsor our show.
Thank you.
And he is also the owner of Tactical 360.
That's correct.
I didn't say 360 Tactical. Just to tease you. So what's so fascinating is you have a plethora of knowledge. I mean, anything from gun safety to training to an expert shotsman, rifleman.
We do
it all.
We've been there with our experience, and we want to bring it to Bakersfield.
So tell me a little bit about your story. So you started out, you got involved and became a police officer?
I'm a police officer in Colorado, and my last year was pretty traumatic.
What happened?
I had an involvement with the last traffic stop I had. They were hauling some drugs with them, and a pretty bad situation. There were 5 or 6 in the vehicle. They decided to depart the vehicle. Much to my fault, I couldn't help the dusk because Mother Nature brings the dark, and so they all departed. I deployed a shotgun at that time, and they ended up getting me to the back side. My cover wasn't there quite as quick as I wanted it to be. So I suffered some traumatic injuries. 3 of them were caught and imprisoned. Other than that, I bring these awareness.
What type of drugs were they?
Cocaine.
Wow. So what are your thoughts about Colorado and the marijuana law passing? Are there more drug issues now or less?
I think there's less.
Less?
There's less.
I mean, you're a policeman. That was a former policeman, retired medically.
Yes, correct.
So, I mean, this is someone to ask. I mean...
We bring some of this knowledge here, some of the training that we've been through. We try to employ it to our personal lives as well. And I would like to try to get the citizens here, or any officers that can't quite pass their course of fire, to come through, because there's some SWAT tactics that I've trained in and that I have done as well.
And also, you do stuff with the corrections. You help them get their card?
Yeah, they're different. Different guards are employed by the Department of Consumer Affairs, which is umbrellaed by the Bureau of Security and Investigative Services. And in that aspect, I train guards that need to have their guard card license or permit.
Right.
And as well as their exposed firearm permit, which is like an advanced course.
So they're continually trained?
They're continually trained, and because the authority that I carry, which is the NRA Law Enforcement Authority, I also am able to train officers as well.
That's incredible. And we're so blessed to have you in Kern County.
Thank you.
And you're so involved. You're part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we hope to see you at their parties are off the hook.
They're on the 30th, and
we hope to see you there.
I hope to be there.
Yeah. So, Goose, can you see our plethora of weapons? Should I say unprecedented? Like, aren't you just sick of that word? The news, ever since Trump's been in office, that's all we hear, that word.
Exactly.
It's unprecedented. So we have quite a range of weapons.
That's correct. We have a different variety.
And they're all handguns?
Yes.
For people that don't know anything about weapons or guns.
That's correct. This is something that I bring out during my basic pistol class, that it incorporates all the learning skills, and as they engage and as I show them how to unload and load, obviously in a classroom that has no ammunition,
right.
I bring what they call as dummy rounds, which is
the rubber bullets.
The rubber bullets.
Yeah, and I think that these are so important that anyone that has a firearm should purchase these. And I'll show you a couple, like this is for a shotgun.
Yes.
And you have them for different calibers. But what's so nice is that the gun can jam.
The gun can jam.
And I like to practice with the rubber bullets to get one with my gun.
Yeah,
so I'm not afraid of the gun. I'm not worried that the gun's going to go off, and I'm etc. So you sit on the couch and play with the rubber bullets in your
This
butt.
is how you do it, and it's in a safe manner. And so people, they want to get acclimated to their firearm, and as long as there's no ammunition in the area or an isolated area, keep the ammo separate. This is the way to get attuned with your firearm.
And we'll pick one, and you can pick the gun that it goes to. And one important thing is we can show them the safety, which we always go over. We checked every gun when he came in. We checked the chamber as well as the cartridge. There's no bullets
That's correct. I think it's important.
in these guns.
So these firearms were all checked before I got in
Right.
there. And
So can you show the audience how to check one, perhaps?
yes, this is our Springfield 1911. It's a .45 caliber. 1911 is when it was derived, is when the firearm was built. And
Okay.
so we've got different makers like Kimber and Smith & Wesson that will come out and do it their own moniker make.
And always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction.
Keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. at all
Keep your
times.
fingers away from the trigger.
That's correct. So we always want to unload, and again, I simulate as if it was a classroom, so I want to show you.
Yeah, there's nothing in there I can
And
see.
nothing in the magazine well.
Nothing in the magazine.
And nothing in the magazine.
And nothing in the magazine.
So what happens
The
is.
well. This is the
This is
well.
the magazine well, that's correct.
So what is this portion right here called?
This is the ejection port. This is where the bullets come out as they get ejected out of the
And this is the well.
This is the magazine well.
And this is the magazine.
This is the magazine with the dummy round.
Okay.
And so basically, as long as these things are done in a safe manner, you can
It's beautiful.
load it. You can load it up just like this. That goes forward. Slide lock forward. Slide lock back. Eject the round. Eject the magazine, and it becomes safe. Magazine.
Double check. Double check.
Exactly. Smith. Springfield's a very nice firearm. These are the safety features here, and they're ambidextrous on both sides.
Okay.
And then you have your hammer as well.
So how good are these at not cutting your thumb? This little, what is this called when you take when you cock the gun and cut your finger?
Well, yeah, some of
I'm
these
sure.
are pretty sharp, serrated edges.
So you always do it at the front and not the back?
You could do both because they're made for both. So you can come under here and do that,
Okay.
and then slide lock it back, or you can do it from the back, which is the serrated edges in the back.
See, I'm more afraid of the block when I cut my finger than I was of the bullets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's important to note that the 1911s are a superior firearm to most, as they say. That's because it's a full metal firearm, and so it shoots very precise. But they're a little more expensive on the market as well.
And about how much is that gun?
That's about a $1,000 gun.
Okay.
Yeah,
And is it worth it?
it's worth it. It shoots very smooth, very much like this Kimber here. The Kimber is a very subcompact.
I have a Kimber.
Yes, and it's a .45. It's subcompact, and it's
And how many bullets does the cartridge hold? 6?
it'll hold 8.
8?
It'll hold 8 this way.
Legally, how many can we have in
Can't
California?
have over 10.
Okay, so we're
Not in
still
California.
within.
Not in California. Anyway, so this is the Kimber subcompact. If you choose to carry conceal, that's one of them. I usually teach with this one here. This is German-made OEM, and this is very
That
nice.
looks like a German gun.
It does.
It's square and big and beefy.
And like anything else, this is a 22.
Okay.
And it's a little heavier, but it's good for the beginning shooter.
So can you explain the difference between a 22, a 45, etc.?
Yes, it's just the caliber size.
Bigger the bullet, the bigger the hole?
Yes, that's correct. Bigger.
Not everybody out here watching is law enforcement. So we have people that don't understand why you need different bullets or, for example, I personally, correct me if I'm wrong, don't think that you need a really big gun if you're a female or a really big caliber because you tend to get closer to me. I have a 5 foot, I believe, space, usually personal space.
Okay.
And so I'll be able to pull it out, and within 5 feet, I should be able to hit you, even if I'm a bad shot.
Yes.
And if
Training.
yeah, with training, I can hit the targeted areas.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
And so the bullets are different ranges. You can see this is a 22. This is a 9 millimeter, and this is the 45, the common used bullet is a very large bullet, it's 45. So I always suggest that if you're going to carry, conceal, and there's different advocates for different rounds, but a 9mm is perfect. If you're shooting just small caliber firearm to hide or conceal it as well.
Right.
Some people will use the revolver, which is right up here. And
You hear a lot of complaints that women can't conceal guns.
oh, they can. They carry in their bras and
Do you think I have a gun on?
It doesn't look like you have a gun on.
oh,
Ready?
wow.
And what type of gun is this?
This is a revolver. This is a Taurus 38.
So I'll let you check it to make sure it's safe.
Thank you.
Ready? Woo! See, that's really easy. You just put the bullets in there, and I like that because it's not real hard. It's not gonna jam.
And it was very light, right?
Yeah.
So it's called it's Taurus light.
And I have on a T-shirt, and you couldn't see the gun there.
At all.
And we also, what's really nice, you brought is, if I don't turn the microphone up, is a thigh strap. So when we wear a dress, we can actually put it on our thigh and carry it under our dress.
You can do that.
And you might wonder why we would need to carry a gun. Well, a lot of times I go out to events, and it's not always the best area. And if you don't have a bodyguard walking you to the car, you never know what you come across.
That's correct.
And speaking of coming to the car, we'll jump right into this and go back to the guns. A great thing that you told everybody last show. So when I'm approaching my car, we won't tell them the one thing, but how should I approach the car?
Well, we call this situational awareness. Okay, you should be aware of your situation. Whether you go into your car, how the complexity is. People are watching. They are stalking to see what's going on. Our statistics, our UCR, our Universal Crime Report suggest that we have an increase in crime.
Right.
And situational awareness allows you to, instead of just going to your car, go around your car, and you'll be surprised who's waiting. And that gives you an opportunity. We hope at that time that if they're a violent offender, that you're prepared.
Right.
And that's prepared whether with keys in the hands, locked in between your fingers,
Correct.
whether you have a coup baton, whether you have a taser or a knife, a legal size knife.
And what is a legal size knife?
It's about 2.5 inches.
So we can't carry like a butcher knife in the car and say we were cooking at a cooking show.
You could get in trouble. You could get in trouble.
It's really funny, the things that, when you're a law-abiding citizen, the things that you don't realize that are illegal. So the worst thing that we probably ever did is our daughter cooked and did baked cakes. And she had a little tiny thing of vodka in her cake baking thing that was open because they stick the paintbrushes in and it makes the cake shiny. When she was 16, all the way till she was 20, and somebody goes, "Isn't that an open container?" And I said, "Well, never really thought about it, but I would think the policeman would see the dye in the bottle and believe her, but I guess theoretically it is an open container."
Yes. Depending on if you're...
Would you let me go?
What's the situation?
You pulled me over and I was going too slow.
So you're impeding traffic.
I'm impeding traffic, not really, but just like there's no one else on the road. But you wanted just to make sure that I was okay. And then you noticed that I had a basket and there was a little tiny thing of vodka in the back.
Might ask you some questions, and whether or not you've been drinking or not. And obviously there's tests and roadside maneuvers that can be conducted in a respectful manner. And as long as you've got a compliant citizen that doesn't want to get irate, and
Right.
if you determine there's no alcohol use, then the person has to go back in the car and go on their way. And so that's the
So
way
you
it should
comply?
work. Yes.
Yes. So I want your expert opinion. As far as you know, has anyone ever been shot or hurt because they complied with the officer?
No.
So we could cut out the race, we could cut out the sexual orientation, where you live, if you have purple hair, whatever. If you do what you're told, even though the officer may be disrespectful, because you never know what kind of day someone has.
Everybody's...
And complain later. Complain, call on your phone when you get home.
Calling you home, get home, let the emotions die down.
Right.
The officer's got to do his job. He does this every day.
Right.
And, if he's having a bad day, just, if it is that you get the ticket, take the ticket and go, and let it rest for a night. See what you come out with jail, come with after night, overnight, let the emotions cool down. And if that's the thing that you need to do, then you go to the police department. But generally, the police officers just want compliance. And you know, they have a hard job, and they are protecting us. And we wish for the best of our officers. And you know, I'm one of those people that if I see an officer in trouble, I'm going to stop.
Right, absolutely.
Exactly.
So with that, we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back, and we'll talk about some more of the
Firearms.
Introducing the new California State Penitentiary Bologna Sandwich. Jail food sucks. Don't let your family eat jail food.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license does not go into suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
Patriot Bail Bonds has the best customer service in Bakersfield. Patriot has more 5-star ratings than any bail company in Kern County. Plus, we're fast and affordable. If you run into the law, make Patriot Bail Bonds your first call. That's right, one call, that's all.
If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail.
magazine. We hope you enjoyed our break. We were playing with magazines. This isn't usually the magazine I look at, but and you can't have more issues than a magazine with these. No. So let's talk a little bit about the larger firearms.
Well, these are very equivalent to it here. These are the 40, like I said, these are the 45. It's just bigger. These are all framed, metal framed firearms, okay? So when you get into these aspects, they're all polymer and iron slides. And so like, for example, you have this one here, which is a 9mm, okay? Glock 17 9mm. And I walk this back to show that, make sure that there's nothing.
Clear in the well. Can't see in the well.
And again, this is California legal. It's 10 rounds, 10 round magazine.
10 rounds. And what's so nice? This is a
Glock 17.
This is the Glock.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way there's texture on the handle. I'll try not to shoot a goose.
This is.
Point it like it's live.
This is.
She wants to hang me up on her wall. What it is.
Wow.
So basically, for a female, our hands, in case we're sweaty, I like the texture, the feel of the grip.
Right. This is a generation 2, a little more plastic, and
but you have a generation 3 Glock.
we got a generation 3, and so.
But I'll let you
This
assemble the
is
gun.
a very good training firearm because it's economical, because it's a 9mm, so they're a little bit cheaper than the other rounds.
So I have a question. So this is a 9mm, which means it's the size of the bullet, correct?
That's correct.
So, but it can be filled with different things to give it a bigger kick, less kick?
Right. You know, you have the capsule in there, so you can have all the way up to the grain usage on the firearm, on the bullet. And so if the bullet has 115 grain, it's basically for target practice, silver tip, chrome tip, and that's for target practice. If it's loaded up with higher grain, like 130 and 40, you got a hotter round, so it's going to come out the gun a lot faster, a lot hotter. And so these are things to consider when you're buying your ammo. What
Right.
grain usage are you using? Because that's going to tell you how hot it is coming out of the gun.
See, I've heard that to practice with the less grain because it's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
But then if you put the other grain in, your adrenaline takes over, so you're not really going to feel the kick if you have to shoot.
Right, it's gonna come quick, and the recoil is gonna be maybe a little bit harder. As the difference is obviously through the 1911
Right.
is you got the full metal, so the recoil is a little bit less than the polymer because the recoil is gonna be a little bit more.
And with the Glock 3rd edition,
The 3rd edition here, the Glock has really improved their firearm. And
it's
got
a little bit lighter.
Yeah,
and the grip's
It's
different.
grip. Yeah, it's a gritty grip, which doesn't allow you to really.
Never put your hand on the
The
trigger.
trigger is
See?
right. There you go.
I went over Goose's head just so you know.
Careful.
But we do know that it is unloaded.
It is.
But we always treat them as they're live.
That's correct.
Okay. And now see, this is a nice gun, but this is heavy.
It feels heavy.
Yeah. Like if I concealed it in my shirt, I couldn't. It's
Well,
too heavy.
It's large.
It's very large.
Very large. It's a large firearm.
It's a thigh gun.
Yes, at best.
Yeah.
So the Generation 3 allows the people who are shooting the firearm the grip to where they don't lose grip on the firearm.
So I guess with the adrenaline running, do your hands get more sweaty?
They do.
Okay.
Especially in our Bakersfield heat.
Yeah.
You're out there in the range and your hands are slipping. And
Well, there's no adrenaline out there.
there is. And there's a lot of heat too.
A lot of heat. So what is this? What type of gun is the 3rd firearm?
This one here is a Beretta. This is a PX4 Storm. It's a 9mm as well. And again, like I said before, no ammo in the magazine. And to make sure that you see, and
Yes.
nothing in the chamber, and nothing in the magazine.
Nothing in the magazine. Well, you actually should make us too.
No, I wouldn't. And so basically, this is a choice of many agencies. As you can see here, this little red dot represents red for hot. So when there's
that's
a
nice.
chambered round in there, and that means it's ready to go. The firearm, all you got to do is pull the trigger. But you know it's safe right now. So this is what we call a decocking device. This device, as we go down, as you can tell, it's ambidextrous, very much like a 1911.
Right.
As you go down, the hammer goes down. And a lot of people that are not familiar with the firearms are assuming that the gun's going to go off.
Yeah.
And what happens is really
See,
not.
that noise scared half the audience.
Right. So if you look in here, there's
Right.
a little divot there. And as you pull down, it disappears. And so,
Nice.
which means there's no striker point.
Okay.
And at this time,
It's ready
which
to
is
go.
it's gonna be safe. That's a safety.
Now, do you have your safety on when you carry?
I do carry some safeties on, but I know I'm
As law enforcement, did you? You carry live?
carry hot.
Hot.
It's hot
Sorry.
all the time. And there's plenty of
Hot
times
live. Just
that
make words up.
yes,
This is an educational show.
officers know that they're ready to clear leather at any time. So that happens quite often.
Clear leather at any time. That means to pull it out.
To pull it out of their holster and be ready, because it does happen, and I know they want to go home.
Right. Yeah, because they have families and,
Exactly.
and I just have so much admiration for all the first responders and all of you guys that go out there and deal with inmates or deal with traffic stops. People are so rude, and you don't know what. You're not very well liked now, unfortunately.
We deal with a different demographic and we're a different time. We're in a different
Right.
time, and the officer's got to be really aware and suitable for that moment that could happen at any minute of his traffic stop.
What I really admire, which I personally could never handle this, is when they're standing the parade lines or the protester lines, and you have people coming up and yelling at them that are 6 inches from their face, and you can see the spittle hitting. See, I'd be like, oh no, that's, attempted murder because that's your saliva, that's a contaminant, you're going to jail.
Right.
Step back.
Yeah. There's these moments where they do get that.
I mean,
kind of stuff.
it's like you guys are the English guards. When you watch them, there's no expression. They just stand there. I could never do that.
You know, it's a very hard job to do.
Yeah.
And you know, bless those officers that are out
Yes.
there doing a good job for us now.
Yeah. Secret Service. And now you work for, you're in, am I allowed to say? No, we can't say. We'll
I
get
work
back
for
to you.
correctional department.
Do you know any Russians?
I know a few.
Little humor. I had to get a little politics
That was out
in.
there.
So this is my favorite weapon. Does anybody in the audience know what this is? Anybody? We'll let you explain.
Wow. This is our blue gun, and it's our training tool. And so, like the dummy rounds, this allows you to train safely in a safe manner. So whether you're holstering this into your bra or your OWB, which is your outer waistband concealed firearm permit, or your inner waistband, this is the tool to use. This tool is used very often on the range to where it teaches us how to grip the gun, we usually V-grip, how to grip the gun, and how to apply for that moment where you're double stacking
Yeah,
your
so you have to
hands.
pivot.
Right. And so we want to make sure that all these skill sets are
It's
in
sort of
there.
like golfing.
Yes.
It's my dad says, the golfing.
You golf.
Yeah, not very good.
I'm not good at it.
No, not
I'm
either.
not good at it.
And I like how that you're bipartisan. You have a blue gun and a red shirt.
I do have a red shirt.
I would prefer this. Can I order this in red? Oh, you know what?
Yes, you
Republicans
do.
were blue before, so it's okay.
We have one in red.
So we don't want anyone, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, not to be safe.
Correct.
Yes, I love this. And it's really, you know, it does feel like a real gun, and you get the grip, the feel. I don't know, you know, you can't see it as well, but you're comfortable with it.
You're comfortable with it. And it's to get you to the point of application tools.
Right.
And how to feel comfortable
So
with the firearm.
V-grip,
It's the V-grip.
finger out.
Yes.
Stick him out.
over the tang. Over the tang. People call this the tang as well.
The tang?
dovetail V-grip, yes.
Okay. So continue teaching.
So as well as we have these tools, you know, we also have.
I thought he was going to show me how to, you know, like pistol whip someone or something.
No, I wouldn't teach you to do that.
Well, that's self-defense. If I could,
Well, it depends on if your gun's empty.
this gun doesn't hold bullets. So, like, if I was practicing and somebody came up behind me, I would have to, you know.
You would have to do what you have to do.
Yeah. So I'm going to flip it this way and hit him this way because
That's
this
just
way is
situational
harder.
awareness.
Situational awareness. This side is lighter. It might cut, but this is going to conk.
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
And where would you be able to get one of those blue or red guns?
You can order it online, Amazon. You can order from NRA. They're about $60. A lot of these things are not cheap. This one here was made specifically for the Beretta PX4. As you can tell, it matches it, and because of that, it's used for a particular holster. It's just like this one right here. This is a Beretta PX4 holster.
That
So
was me.
it goes in just like that. We
Nice.
teach this because this is a triple thread holster. So you
And
have
this
to-
is on the outside.
It's on the outside of an officer's waistband.
So what do you think about open carry? Should we have open carry in Kern County?
That's very controversial, isn't it?
Yeah. So what's your opinion?
You know, I think you got law-abiding citizens. You know, depending on what the structure is, you know, and what the officers, what the sheriffs say. You know, by all means.
No, your personal, from your experience.
You know,
Is it a deterrent?
it can be a deterrent. You know, Texas, a lot of places
Yeah.
in Texas.
But the most important, I think, that you should have to qualify to use the gun. Maybe not as many courses as law enforcement does. But I mean, we have to get a license and practice to drive a car. I mean, we should have to do a little more than the 20 questions.
Right, and I think that if you're a citizen carrying a firearm, you should take as much training as you can. And even if the officer's job is to do his training tactically, so should you. If you should have a firearm like the 1911, the Beretta, or the Glock, you should practice most of the time.
Or the revolver.
To be, yes, the revolver, it's a concealed firearm. And there's many aspects to this training that you should continue. If you have a firearm, train often with
Right.
that one. You should know every firearm and be adequately educated with everyone.
So, if we were to imagine that I had absolutely no gun training and you were to come over and I just purchased a gun, you would take us a little bit of the process of your classes that you would teach.
And you had already bought the firearm?
Yeah, I purchased the gun that you told me to because I called you first.
Okay. What I would do, I tried to extend people to go to the range to shoot the gun first.
Right.
Because it's all about
You took me to the
ergonomics.
range to shoot the guns.
Okay. Okay. So we got you.
Work with me.
Exactly. So we got you ergonomically set for the correct firearm.
Right.
And ergonomically means the way your hand fits for that firearm.
Right.
The weight distribution for that firearm. Is it small enough for you for the purpose you're using it?
Right.
If you're using it for conceal, yes. So we're at the range with this.
So I decided that I wanted to purchase a revolver because I was worried that it would be jammed. It's easy to put the bullets in. It's less complicated and it's small and it fits in my bra. So what you would teach me to become aware with the gun,
Correct.
loading the gun.
We're going to teach you loading the gun, and by the time we're done, again, you'll know all the safety rules.
Right.
Okay. And with those safety rules, we're going to teach you the manipulation of the firearm. We're going to teach you how to unload it and load it.
Right.
We're going to teach you how to get used to it, and then we're going to time you a little bit. We're going to teach you tactical placement, situation awareness, of what happens if your family's around. We always, for the same reason that it's called Tactical 360, is to be aware. So 360 around us. And every class I teach to scan.
Right.
And always scan because, our FBI statistics suggest...
Totally a profiler. Remember, I believe in profiling. You do 2 minutes, make an assessment, and then...
Exactly. You have to watch and you have to scan because our statistics suggest that if you have a bad guy or a person that's a threat, there's most likely a second or third one standing by.
Just like the recent home invasion in Bakersfield where the lady walked up and knocked on the door and they opened it and the 3 guys came in with the guns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The woman turned herself in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, she turned herself in and said, I didn't think it was going to,
Life-changing things for her as well.
Yeah, stupid.
That was dumb.
Yeah, really dumb. She's really lucky it wasn't in the Northwest because they wouldn't be able to go on the TV and talk about it.
No, I think, there's certain ways that things are used and manners in publications.
Yeah. Did you see, I posted on Facebook, there's like a little holder that you put by your door and they had the gun just out by the door?
Yes, it's a magnet.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
Well, if it's your home.
And you don't have children.
You don't have children.
Yeah.
And
They don't visit.
You and your husband.
Yeah.
There's so many places this can happen. You can put it in vents, you can put it in cabinets, under the sink. And it's just where you're aware.
I believe in 360 placement. I
that.
do. Seriously. I mean, they're everywhere in our house.
And you should be ready.
And nobody would know. Just like you didn't see my gun.
I had no idea.
I know.
Had no
Shocked
idea
you
it was
all.
there.
And where'd you rate it, show? Right, Goose?
Right. That's what she keeps telling me.
So, what about for the house? What do you think about like the home invasion shotgun? I know it's really not a home invasion shotgun, but it's really loud. It sprays. I think it's important that you know your surroundings, like if it's going to go through the drywall.
Right.
I just like the sound of it.
You like the sound of
Oh yeah, I
it?
think we should just record that. You ring the doorbell.
It's
It should
something
just make
else.
that sound.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be cool? You ring somebody's doorbell and you hear that in the background?
People go running.
Yeah.
They go running away.
The people that aren't supposed to be there.
They're not supposed to be. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people out there like that. But shotgun's good.
Right.
I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. I think that you exercise your rights.
Right.
Your Second Amendment, and if you obviously have a shotgun, have the skill and aptitude to have a flashlight on there because you got to know what you're shooting at.
Right.
And if it's dark and they're coming, God forbid it be somebody that could be a loved one or something.
You scream, I fear for the safety of my life. Identify yourself.
Yes.
And then if they don't, you...
Yes. You have a flashlight and you use the
Yeah, you
proper
saw that it
ammunition.
wasn't, yeah.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, we have to make sure that we say we fear for the safety of our life, because you can't pull out a gun just to deter them, which is sort of silly.
Right.
Because I would think it would be better to pull it out and say, listen, dude, I have a gun. You better run or I'm going to shoot you. But you can't, because I didn't fear for my life. I should have shot him. Legally.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. But you know, a lot of the training classes that we provide, we talk about the safe room. A lot of this is emphasized in firearm safety. Does everybody understand where the safe room is? Because that place is a place where you want to be in your area, to where we start using our phones. And in Kern County, we just went to the texting 911 system. And so that's amazing too. So if you do have an intruder, you can text 911. And
You don't have to hear the lady
they don't have
going,
to hear you.
don't hang up. Well, okay, everybody in the house heard that too.
Right? So that helps us aware. I'm not sure if people are aware of that.
Yeah, that's great.
Where we have that system. It's been in place for about a month.
That's really good.
Yes.
So, what are some of the things that you see in corrections? Is that a harder job than law enforcement?
You know, there's equal episodes there. Law enforcement, they're the first line. They're the first line people, and they're getting those people that are at their worst. And you think they change sometimes when they come into the system, and they can. Some of them are remorseful, and some of them are not, and they continue the behavior.
I just started watching, this will be good for Goose, a Netflix series, I believe it's Killer.
I'm a killer.
I'm a Killer. So I've only watched the
pretty
first
creepy.
one. But, you know, have you seen it?
Yes.
Okay, so the first one, it talks about this guy was in solitary confinement, but what's the one? Controlled confinement?
Control segregation unit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's different each state. But, so he didn't like it, and they were mean to him. So he decided to kill his jailmate.
Oh, he had to sell it.
Yeah, so he could go to death row because he would get better food.
Correct.
But all this stuff is better.
Yes, in the State Department,
Yes.
that's what happens. Is
And
you're allowed-
they hardened him. And I'm usually very, pro, you know. So what about the death penalty? What are your thoughts on that?
Death penalty. Well, you know, talking about the death penalty, we have Mr. Scott, the guy in Colorado, that allegedly killed his wife and 2 children, put them in a gasoline barrel, the kids.
Yeah.
And so I know that the prosecution in that, as we find out through publications, is that they are pursuing the death penalty for him. So, you know, there's different debates. You know, as we come and get closer, he obviously says a little bit more or a little bit less.
Right. In your opinion, do you think that certain types of criminals can be rehabilitated?
I do believe there are some. And
How about child molesters?
you know,
Is there statistically it says that they really can't be rehabilitated?
so a lot of people say
Or
that.
pedophiles?
Some people say that. And then there are certain correctional environments separate for those as well, because there's a danger.
So if they can't be rehabilitated, why should we house them at $75,000 a year for 40 years?
Right. So we got to do some other things
Yeah.
within our government to find out how that's going to work.
I think we have a question from Goose.
Yeah, someone had asked, they said that they believed that bigger guns were harder to shoot because of the kickback,
The recoil.
recoil. They said they would be better for them to use a smaller gun because there was less recoil.
Right.
And
Yes, that a lot of this is correct. This is what we were talking about. We were talking about
But
ergonomics.
what's more important?
What's that?
What's more important?
Well, your safety is more important. So
No, what's in the bullet?
Yeah,
That's
well-
what the kickback.
the grain usage. If you go to a 45, like this little one, this is going to have just as much kick as this one. This is a longer frame, but it's going to have as much kick. You know, this is more of a concealed firearm. It's whether or not you can control that grain, that 45 grain ammo kick.
How many times should you really have to shoot?
I think you should shoot, and you should shoot often.
No, I mean,
until
Totally.
they don't move.
yeah, well, I never get to that. But I mean, theoretically, when you don't do not feel the kickback. Like I've shot a snake and I didn't feel the kickback or
Right.
anything because it was like, oh, it's a rattlesnake. But does that matter?
When you shoot,
I mean, does the kickback really matter when the adrenaline kicks in? Is what I was trying
no,
to ask.
it don't. It don't. But you, like I said, you have to
Sassy.
train with that firearm. You have to have it as one.
Right.
And it's like your right hand or left hand. You have to practice with both, so you're ergonomically proficient. And as well as it's got to fit your hand. Some people shoot 9mm because they can't handle the 45. So we go to the 9. Some women, they don't want the 9 because it's too big of a frame, so they go to a revolver. It's a 38 caliber, and shorter firearm, more concealable.
Correct. Longer firearm, more accuracy.
More accuracy, a little heavier.
Small.
Smaller, maybe a little more applicable towards
Yeah.
target
get a little-
placement.
So, totally lost my train of thought. See how you are? You were so sassy, and Gus is asking questions.
Thanks, Gus.
Not Goose, because Gus is the bad one, remember?
Yes.
That's his alter ego. So, another thing that's really important that we had talked about prior to the show is cleaning the guns.
Cleaning the gun's got to happen.
And you brought a nitro solvent gun cleaner?
We have a nitro solvent gun cleaner.
for
This can be bought at any NRA store, or it can be bought at a Second Amendment here. It can be bought at any gun store. This is solvent to use for your firearm.
So it's like a lube and a solvent?
Yeah,
so
it's a cleaning,
cleans it,
it's a
oils
cleaning
it?
solvent. Yes.
So how often should you clean your gun?
Every time you finish shooting, you should clean it because you've got too much carbon buildup.
So if you have to, I'm going to nail you on that answer. So if you shoot somebody, should I clean it before the police get there?
No.
You
wait.
said-
You wait for a while. Hands up, by the way.
I know. Hands up. I fear for my safety.
Exactly.
Arrest him. I want him even though he's dead because I'm a good shot.
You stop the threat.
Stop the
We
threat.
stop the threat.
Yes. So what a plethora of knowledge you are.
There's a lot. There's
Yes.
a lot of information to be covered.
So maybe perhaps we can go out to the gun range and do some filming and show some neat stuff. And my last question, and then we're done, is what are your thoughts on the guns that are pink or we personalize them?
And that's okay. I think personalizing is...
Are the criminals still afraid of those?
I don't think they're aware it's coming. I think
Okay.
that an open-minded person, a situation that we
Right.
talked about, situational awareness, is that you're comfortable with your gun and you're comfortable with how you access it and how
Right.
tactically you use it. And it's important to train all the time, very much so.
Okay. And we're going to put up some of your links on the training, and this is going to be a great partnership. We're going to go out and learn all kinds of different things from women's classes, and like Bakersfield Babes can sign up. We can do a group. We get a little discount.
Sure.
Petroleum Club. We can go to the Stockdale Country Club, get a bunch of members. You're just
We'll have a
go
good time.
everywhere.
We'll have a good time.
Yeah.
It's about being comfortable, right?
Just no drinking. Sorry, all you
No
people.
drinking.
Yeah, there's no drinking.
Right.
This isn't like the Botox parties that you all have. There's no drinking. You should never drink and use a firearm, correct?
That's correct. No drinking and no prescription.
So, what happens if you have your concealed weapons permit? It's at your home. You've just had some wine with your husband and somebody breaks in.
Well, you know, all
Will you
that-
get in trouble for your CCW because you shot it while...
You're in your home,
Okay.
and all that's going to be a collage of investigations that are occurred at the placement of the police department.
Do we still need to drag the person in?
From
That's a
outside.
joke. Can't shoot him in the
Can't
yard.
shoot and can't drag him.
That was fun. I thought we could shoot him in the yard and bring him in.
No,
No, they have to be in the house.
they have to be doing.
Can you
it.
shoot through the door?
No. Why would you shoot?
Well, I got a camera and see that they're busting my door down, and they have guns. Why would I wait for them to come all the way in?
You have to let them know what's going on. You
Well, I've
should be
already
able to-
told them. My Vivid's like, "Hello, I have a gun," and they're still coming at me.
Wait for that door to go. Be ready.
Then I'll have some tactical 360 moves of placement. You're
You
gonna
should.
show me how to hide under the
should.
couch and snipe
Yes,
them.
exactly.
Okay.
When they come in.
When they come in,
When they come in.
how far in do they have to be?
Well, it depends on
Legally.
where your threatening moment. You know, we talked about the color code, Jeff Cooper, right? Jeff Cooper is white, being in your home, comfortable, yellow, being in the public, and orange, a threat assessment. You know, may not be you, but red could be, which is actually a threat towards you. There's a color code association as well.
Somebody with a gun comes to my front door and I see him with a camera. I fear for the safety of my life. Why would they be at my house with a gun?
Right,
I might let a pinky get in. They're inside.
right. Every person is different.
Well, thanks so much. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And next week we'll have some more gun safety tips, perhaps.
Thank you.